Threads of Destiny, new cinematic. If you haven't watched it yet, what are you doing here? Go watch it first, because there's going to be spoilers in this video. I'm going to pause between scenes and still images probably, so just go watch it first. Some backstory though, in case you're unfamiliar, the Nerubians were originally the Akir back in the days of the Black Empire, but after Xal'atath drove a troll witch doctor to resurrect a Cathraxi named Kithix, the Akir were split into 3 primary groups. We were always told the Nerubians were the ones that went north, but we don't know if Azj-Kahet evolved independently of Azjol-Nerub, or if some of the Nerubians just came down from the north to found it. Who knows? We might find out, we might not. Anyway, the theme for a lot of WoW races is like, what if a fantasy archetype was something else? You know, the Night Elves are like Dark Elves, but the good guys. Meanwhile, the Nerubians are like, what if the Drow were just literally spider people? I mean, look at their cave cities. It's so cool. It's just literally the Underdark without calling it the Underdark. The first thing I want to talk about is the thread magic that Neferest uses, because it's so cool. It's such a strong establishment of the character's power, the ability to defy the Black Empire despite their origins, and how dispassionate she is about rejecting the Black Empire, how decisive. She's a strong leader who does what's best for her people, and it's really good characterization. And there's also this shot of young Enserek, which is a little weird because this is no more than 5 to 10 years before right now. But we see her as an adult later on, so I really wonder what the life cycle of the Nerubians are like, if they have like accelerated lives or whatnot. Oh, and the guards? I love how all their mandibles and their eyes are all different. It's a stark contrast to what they look like after they're ascended, where they just all look the same. It does say some things about, you know, individualism and whatnot. I don't know if that's intentional or just like a minor little artistic decision, but it's cool. And I really like, they do this in-game too. They make a deep Underdark cave city without making it look completely dark and gloomy the way like a Minecraft cave does. It actually does look like the Underdark. It's clearly underground and dark, but it's very vibrant with the passive blue-white color, the fog. And there's more really strong characterization between Enserek and Neferest talking about the plight of their people. And you can tell from some of the expressions that Neferest does care about them. But also, I feel like I just need to say it. If you're ever finding yourself to be royalty in a fantasy setting, do not name your child something that sounds like insurrection. Just don't do it. I mean, what do you expect to happen? And as she goes inside, this mural, the shot and the stage direction is just gorgeous, and it tells us so much. The fact that she's moving left to right is kind of a code word usually that you use. You see it in stage plays and movies where a protagonist will move left to right across the screen to either show progress or to show that they're, you know, the good guy. Conversely, if you want to show somebody's the villain, you'll usually have them look right to left or move right to left. Which does line up with what we see in the mural itself, with all of the, it looks like Akir and Inraki going up to the stairs leading up to this old god monstrosity's mouth. It kind of looks like they're being sacrificed to it, and the old god has its tentacle thing wrapped around the crystal in the sky. And the light coming from the crystal, it penetrates everything, it shines on everything. I kind of think it's depicting Xal'atath's arrival on Azeroth. I mean, there's no way to really be sure. I do kind of think this is depicting Xal'atath's arrival on Azeroth, that they sacrificed all of the Akir and the Inraki to the old god who summoned the Star of Xal'atath somehow. It could be a cool idea. But it does also kind of look like Azj-Kahet and the Nerubians there might have evolved independently of Azjol-Nerub, and that this might be a mural left over from the time when they were Akir. That's just more wild guessing though. But also, the way the portal shows up, arriving like out of the crystal itself, is kind of where I get the idea that that crystal might be Xal'atath. They could have had her pop out of anywhere. But in blocking out this entire scene, there is a very conscious decision to have her come out of that crystal. It could just be dramatic effect, but you don't really do that thing just willy-nilly. But then we get into the vision. I think this is definitely the coolest part. The first thing I notice is the religious symbolism in the piece, with the halo behind her kind of looking like what's typically shown as a halo in like a depiction of Jesus or something, and the way her arms are spread, it actually just looks like the resurrection of Jesus, like some pieces you see depicting that. And what's behind her, it could be a sun, it could be a black hole. It's really cool seeing the way all the stars and stuff orbit around her. And the religious symbolism is important because I think it turns the expression you see with the Nerubians' arms from looking like fear into definitely like religious reverence. But then the eyes. This is clearly Xal'atath, but it's in a way we've never seen her before. We have never seen her with irises and pupils. I don't know if this is telling us that she once had a mortal body similar to the one she's in now, or if it's just a artistic choice, an artist wasn't, notified of what she should be like. I kind of lean toward it's just more of a mystery to kind of throw the previous vision for a loop of we don't know if it's the past, the present, or the future, but still cool. It'd be cool to get more details about it. And Xal'atath tells Neferes that the old gods are dead, but this seems like something that the Nerubians would at least be partially aware of. Are they actually dead? I don't think we can really take Xal'atath's statement as a word of God statement about lore. She has no reason to lie or tell the truth as long as there is old god blood to use to morph the Nerubians, because that's kind of her goal with manipulating the princess and the queen here. Still, the shot of N'Zoth dying is just beautiful, with all the light cracks going through him from the reorigination beam. And the orange pall over everything to depict that it's a vision is just really cool, and it kind of makes me wonder that shot of the sun we saw in the background previously, we don't actually know the color of that. It could be the weird eclipse thing we see in Xal'atath's eyes constantly. It could actually be a black hole, but it just leaves a lot, unknown. It's more really strong characterization for Neferes, showing her continue to defy the old gods. She knows what Xal'atath is. She knows she's the Harbinger, but she still says no. She still says, no, you're not good for my people. God, I wish we could interact with her.
Who are you talking to?
And right here, there's something I didn't notice until I'd watched it a couple times, is the difference in the armor trim color and the gemstone color between earlier Ansarek and now. You can see it very plainly right here. The bright gold, the purple gem. She had a blue gem earlier, and now she's perfectly matching Xal'atath's coloration. Just in case, you don't pick up in a second that she's sided with the Void. And again, don't name your daughter Insurrection. Just don't do it. The framing of the mural here with Ansarek in front of it. She's standing by the atrocities committed against the Akir or the Nerubians, whatever's being depicted there. She also stands at the bottom of the stairs, and she almost looks poised to go walk up alongside the other ones being sacrificed. Depending on what the mural is supposed to depict, there's just so much symbolism there, and it just looks, really cool. And more dramatic Xal'atath, we love to see it. And just saying, if my cloak did that weird starry thing that hers does, I would be swooshing it around all the time as well.
Her name is Xal'atath.
And the final shot with the army of the Void Warp Nerubians is just really cool. Even Ansarek's face has changed. It looks like she's lost a lot of her previous personality as a Nerubian. It's very subtle, unspoken thematic that kind of makes me think it's more intentional, that the servitude of the Void is destroying their personality. Yeah, they call themselves Unbound, but I mean, if you're starting a cult, you're not going to call yourselves the Bound. You're going to call yourselves the Unbound, regardless of the reality. And just some closing thoughts. I think this one was really well done. It sets up the Nerubians well as the initial central conflict of the War Within. But something kind of not really immediately visible that I really liked is that the cinematic is about Xal'atath as much as it is about the Nerubians. This is so important while they're trying to set her up as a master manipulator, because we actually see what she's capable of doing. When we had the Afterlife cinematics for Shadowlands, we knew the Jailer was a thing going into them. We didn't know what he was or what he was capable of, but we knew about him. And every cinematic just showed him as a peripheral, mysterious threat. It left into our imagination. And he could never live up to the expectations we built for him, no matter how they played his story out. Having our first shot of him being his weird nipple body just was icing on the cake. But the way they're doing Xal'atath is the right way to do it. Awesome, cool, more of it. And I mentioned this in my video about her previous wielders, but they're leaning into the theme of Xal'atath influencing large events just by focusing on individuals. She doesn't need to fight us when she can conscript so many others to do it for her. But why? What's her motivation? Is she baiting us into destroying possible servants of the Void? There is one particular post-BFA interview with Ion that I'm thinking about where he mentions that N'Zoth's death could throw Azeroth into a cosmic imbalance without Void around. Is that Xal'atath's plan? I really want to know more about what she's doing with the blood of the old gods. But what will the next cinematic be? It really depends on their focus. As much as I'd want them to focus on her previous wielders after so much research I did into it, I think they're probably going to focus more on the inhabitants of Kaz Algar. It's possible they show us more about Jaina or Thrall, but I really think the next one's going to be either about the Arathi or about the Earthen, but I'm excited either way. What do you think? Is there anything I didn't notice that you found really interesting? Let me know in the comments. Take it easy, have a good week, and I'll see you in the next video.